Hey guys, this is Kelsey from the Goal Getter blog. Thanks for watching this video today. I want to tell you guys a story. This story happened when I was in an unfamiliar city. I was traveling for work. I'd flown there. Just so you guys know, I'm a planner. Whenever I'm flying, not only do I like to print out the paper boarding pass, I also like to use the airline app to keep my boarding pass there, and then I use the Apple Wallet app for my boarding pass. So I like to make sure that everything is planned to the T. When I was flying to this city, they had changed the gates for one of my flights, and I had to run across the airport twice to get to my correct gate. I was really proud of myself. This was the first time I'd flown by myself without my husband, without anybody that I work with, so I had nailed this challenge. I was great. And so I was writing a blog post about the importance of being flexible, because I was so flexible. The story gets really interesting about 6 hours after I finished that blog post. I'm at the airport, I'm about to fly home. I've got to fly to Chicago, and then I'm going to fly from Chicago to my home city and land there about 10:30 p.m. I was sitting at the airport charging my phone, because when I use my phone for my boarding pass, if it's anything less than 100% charged, that's not okay. So I'm sitting at the airport charging my phone, watching Netflix, and I get a notification from the airline app. They say my first flight to Chicago has been delayed by 40 minutes. I purposefully book long layovers because I'm a planner. So I was like, okay, that'll leave me about 10 minutes to run to my next gate across the Chicago O'Hare Airport so that I can make my flight home. So I'm in tears, and I call my husband, and he says, it's gonna be fine. You can do this. You're just gonna book it as soon as you get off your first flight. If you miss your second flight home, you tell an airline employee and you explain the situation, that your flight was delayed. They'll find you a hotel. You will fly home tomorrow morning. It's gonna be fine. So I'm calm. So I'm just chilling, watching more Netflix, and I got another notification from the airline app, and they said that my flight was now delayed 1 hour and 15 minutes. So that meant that my first flight was going to land in Chicago after my second flight had finished boarding. So then of course I'm panicking, because there's no chance now that it's all over. There's no way I can get home. I go talk to an airline employee and I tell them the situation. They're looking up new flights to get me home, and they say, we've got one for tomorrow morning. And I said, you can't get me something for tonight? And they said, no, I'm sorry, we can't. There's nothing else. So I said, can you get me a hotel, so that I can stay the night? And at this point I was trying to be strong to hold back the tears. They said, no, we can't, I'm sorry. Second cry of the night. Third cry? I don't even keep track anymore. I called my husband, panicking, I can't do this, I can't do this. And so then he said, yes, you can do this. What you need to do is you first need to book that next flight, then you need to find a hotel in the city you're in. You need to get a rental car so you can go to that hotel. So I'm repeating to myself, okay, flight, hotel, car, flight, hotel, car, I can do this. Okay, I talk to the airline employee and I say, yes, I want that flight out for tomorrow morning. While he's booking that, I call the hotel I stayed at in this city the night before. They had a room open, so everything's looking good. Everything's coming up roses. I get my ticket for my new morning flight, and I walk down to the rental car area, and they have a rental car. So I'm like, yes, okay. Still kind of tense and on edge, because even though I was bawling, believe it or not, I was actually still kind of holding it together. But this is the plan I was on. So I get in the rental car and put the GPS coordinates in there, and I just start driving. A lot of chaos ensued. Everything that happened while I was driving to the hotel from the airport could have been avoided if I just listened to everything I'd been told in driver's ed about what to do when you're in an unfamiliar car. Learn how to adjust the mirrors and adjust them accordingly. Learn how to turn on the headlights so you're not driving 65 miles an hour after sunset on a highway with no headlights. I get to the hotel. I had a pizza delivered to the hotel because I was like, I'm not going back out there again. I'm getting here and I'm staying here. And so then I got ready for bed. I chowed down on a huge pizza, and then I'm finally starting to calm down. I'm looking at my airline app, and they had updated the flight that I was supposed to take tomorrow. It was scheduled for the next day, but I did notice that it was scheduled for the evening of the next day. The guy had booked me for a flight that wasn't supposed to board for another 15 or 20 hours. I cried again. I don't even know how many cries that's been at this point, but it was a lot. I called my husband and I was just like, I can't do this. So he said, Kelsey, you just need to call the airline, explain what happened, and tell them you were supposed to be on a flight for tomorrow morning, not tomorrow evening. So I do. And I'm talking to their customer service person, bawling bawling. I had to repeat what I was trying to say multiple times in between all of the crying. And the guy said, he goes, "Ma'am, are you okay? You're crying." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm so sorry. I just really want to go home." And he's like, "Okay, let me put you on hold for a minute. It's gonna be fine. I'm gonna get this taken care of." And that sweet man, he booked me for a flight that next morning. It was the flight I was originally supposed to have. I guess the guy at the airport, he told me he was going to book me for a flight in the morning, but he was probably distracted by the grown woman who was bawling her eyes out in front of him, and he booked me for a flight the next evening. I went to bed, barely slept at all because I was so panicked that I was going to miss my flight that I just booked. I woke up the next morning, I went to the airport, and from that point on, my trip was pretty drama-free. All of that to say, I learned a lot from writing a blog post that was about being flexible and then actually being put to the test and being forced to be flexible. The first thing I learned was don't act like an expert on something unless you have the experience and the authority to back it up. I can say now that I have learned a lot, but I would still definitely say that I'm not an authority or an expert on being flexible. I still definitely prefer planning, and I prefer to have things go my way in an organized fashion. So yeah, that's the first thing I learned. I was not an authority on being flexible when I wrote that first blog post. The second thing that I learned from this experience was whenever you're in a position where you're uncomfortable and you're not quite sure what to do, it's okay to step back and talk to somebody who's got experience and leadership in this area. Sometimes it's not best to fake it till you make it, because if I had tried to do this experience on my own, I would have ended up crying on the floor in a little ball for hours until airport security came and made me leave because I looked suspicious. In that situation, what I did was I talked to a person that I trusted, that I knew had experience with delayed flights. My husband has experienced delayed flights in the past where he had to sleep in the airport until the next morning flight came. He's also had experiences where he's had to take a red-eye flight to get home in the middle of the night. I knew that he would know what to do. He would be able to guide me and direct me when I was in a position where I wasn't quite sure what to do next. So it's okay to turn to people that are more experienced when you don't know what to do. A lot of times you will end up with a better result. If you are interested in reading that original blog post that I wrote about being flexible, go ahead and go to this blog post. It's actually the first part of the blog post, and then I launch into the story about what happened after I wrote that. If you're interested in reading that blog post, you can check it out at my website. It's www.beagoalgetter.net. And then you can also see lots of other blog posts that I've written, other videos that I've posted. If you like this video, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every week. Thanks for watching.